So we have two graphs here, and we want to sketch the graph of the square root of f of x based on just given the graph. We're not even given an equation. And then write the domain and range of each of them. So going through those steps that we talked about earlier, the first thing we're going to look at is where are our y values 0 and where are they 1. Here's where y is 0. Here's where y is 1. On this graph, here's where y is 0. Here's where y is 1. Because when you square root 0, you get 0. When you square root 1, you get 1. So those values won't change. Then our note said wherever the graph was between 0 and 1, your new graph will be above. Now, we have to be careful. In fact, we're going to make it just slightly above. You don't want to do something crazy like that. In fact, it can't go past 1, so this would be bad too. It's just going to be slightly above, but still between 0 and 1 as well. Then when our graph is bigger than 1, when our inside graph, which is the red one, is bigger than 1, then our values are going to be less. And for this one, you can actually do some math and estimation. Like here I have 4. Do you know what the square root of 4 is? That's 2. So I know for sure that that point's going to be there. If I had 9, it looks like I have 9 right here, right? If I go straight down from that point, that's where it should be at 3. And there's our final graph. On this graph, I don't even get to 4. It looks like if the red graph would get to 4, it would happen right there, right? So if I wanted to put 2 in at that point, I could to help myself out. Maybe you know some other square roots. Maybe you know what the square root of 2 is as a decimal. Maybe you know what the square root of 3 is as a decimal. But maybe you don't. You just know that it's going to be less than 2, and then we can draw this graph through those points. So there's our graph if we wanted to look at our first one. The domain is x is bigger than or equal to -2. The range is your y values are bigger than or equal to 0. For the second one, the domain is x is less than or equal to 6. And our range is bigger than or equal to 0. So what we're going to look at in this unit is we're going to look at square rooting lines, but then we can square root parabolas, and we can square root cubic graphs, we can square root sine graph, we can square root any graph we want using this procedure and this idea that 0 and 1 stay the same. Between 0 and 1, our square root graph is going to be slightly above. When the y values are bigger than 1, our square root graph is going to be below. So we got a couple of minutes. Try number 5.